Everyone is afraid of the dark, and that's what she feeds on.
So Lights Out is directed by David F. Sandberg and stars Teresa Palmer and Gabriel Bateman. And to keep a long story short, it pretty much tells the story of a woman that lives in the dark. And I know what you're thinking, that sounds pretty cheesy, which it totally does if I explain it in that type of sense. But when you actually watch the film, you will find out that Lights Out is one of the best narrative horror films of the year. Movies like The Conjuring 2 and The Witch, it brings in a bit of drama and a bit of psychological stuff too. So just jump right into this review. Lights Out is easily one of the best horror films of the year. And when I mean best, I'm talking like top 8. It's because this is a great year for horror films. Ignore movies like The Darkness and all those horrible movies that just put a bad name on horror. Because this movie utilizes its very predictable jump scares to actually bring on a ton of plot points in the future. In movies like Hardcore Henry, it's a movie that I really enjoyed, but the character development wasn't there at all. There was a dude named Henry, and there was a chick named this, and the dude named that. And that was about it. But with this movie, they have names, and you know the names, and if they die, you're going to be pretty upset because the character development in this script will blow your mind. And what's turning most people away from Lights Out is that it's rated PG-13. Yet, I don't see why people are so picky with PG-13 ratings, since the entire Paranormal Activity series was rated R, and those are horrible horror movies. Lights Out pretty much uses its rating to its advantage. It lures people in, making them expect, you know, a pretty tame horror film. But when they come in and that start scene happens, they will find out that there is blood, there is horror, and there are some great visuals in this entire film throughout. They do have like 50 too many jump scares in the first, second, and definitely third act, but the story really patches those up. It kind of uses those jump scares to pretty much extend more on the story that it's trying to build in its own head. But could this movie have been rated R? Yes. Should it have been? No. There are some movies that have just such a cool idea, like Krampus, but they don't have like the savage bite that it calls for. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Krampus, but it could have just been a bloody Christmas movie, and it just wasn't. Lights Out does everything that it can to make it an entertaining and definitely scary PG-13 horror film. What brings in the most drama is that at the beginning, a few things happen and the family is just left there. The mom is fighting for the son with the sister because the sister doesn't believe that the mom is stable to keep her own child. And unlike most horror films, it brings in the drama that it wants. It has a definite relatable type of scenario that more people could agree with than a dude that will hang you if you go into school. Like, I'm so happy to see this happening, but in a ton of horror films nowadays, the cinematography is mind-blowing. The cinematography isn't necessarily mind-blowing, but they easily did make that one of their bigger priorities, was to make their movie look good. And definitely another one of their priorities, which was the sound design. The sound design of Diana and her moving actually was very creepy, and I was very impressed that they actually put time to design these sounds for this demon. And Lights Out sets itself apart from 90% of horror films nowadays by actually being original. There is so much you can do with just a light switch, and Lights Out utilizes that to its full potential, leaving a decently horrifying, overly jump-scared horror film. But the thing I don't like is it breaks its own rules. It says that Diana cannot go into the light, but in this one scene, a knock is heard at the door, and they're kind of getting a Diana vibe type of stuff going on, so she opens the door and no one's there. It better been like someone ding-dong ditching or something, because Diana obviously couldn't have been there because the lights are on, and it actually does propose that it is Diana. Even though this may be a little slow burning for most, the third act, it shows who Diana is, it shows what she looks like, it shows who she's attached to, and the ending is so heartfelt. It was pretty much Annabelle, but actually good. And for some reason, in the third act, people were laughing a lot. I didn't see anything that was unintentionally funny, but I guess they did. But they could have just been high, I'm not sure. So to keep this one short, Lights Out is a well-acted, well-shot, well-written, and just overall well-done horror film with just a few cliches, way too many jump scares, and it really breaks its own rules more than any horror film should. And it's better than any Blumhouse film to come out this year, and probably even last year. Because Blumhouse, I'm so happy that they didn't get their hands on this and James Wan did. Overall, I was impressed with Lights Out. It does obviously have its cliches and, you know, rough around the edges, but Lights Out is pretty much the best horror sleeper hit of the year, and it is well deserving of a B+. Thank you guys so much for watching. So next week I'm hoping to see Nerve and Jason Bourne. Well, that's kind of this week, but that doesn't matter. I am hoping to see those films, and The Purge, it has kind of gone and passed, but I'd probably give The Purge like a C+, so that's that review done in 5 seconds.